Hey, it's Tommy Z and welcome back to Tommy Z Travels. So I decided recently I want to make my videos look a little more professional, so I went ahead and started a little studio here. So for today's topic, I was asked the other day, how much does your trips actually cost? And being that I'm focusing on a working class budget, how much does one of those actually cost me? Well, today I'm here to tell you just that. Now, there are a lot of things to take into consideration. Your flights, food, hotels, any activities you may do. So for this example, I'm going to use my favorite trip ever, Boracay Island in the Philippines. Now, I know what you're thinking after seeing that video. Wow, that must have cost a fortune. But I'm here to tell you, it really didn't cost as much as you would think. Though I was with my fiance for this trip, things like the flight, I know what the one cost was, but for like our bill for food, I'll cut that in half to give you an idea of one person. So let's start with the flights. Now, obviously, off-season will always be the way to get your best deals, but use Skyscanner, Kayak, Expedia, whatever you decide to use, but look through multiple sources to find what's the cheapest flight you can find. So, being that the flight from JFK to Philippines will be the most expensive part of the trip, I'll start right there. Now, there were cheaper flights out there. I chose to go with Philippine Airlines for this trip because of the fact that it was a non-stop flight. No layovers, no extra travel, just straight JFK to Manila. Being that I wanted to see my fiance as soon as possible, I chose this flight because it was 16 and a half hours straight flight versus I think the other ones were about 30 to 39 hours worth. So I just wanted to get there as soon as possible. Now, these numbers do go off pre-COVID numbers. At the time, I found that I could find flights for about $700, but being that I wanted to cut out all those extra layovers and everything, the hassle was worth paying a little bit extra at $850. Now, staying on the topic of flight, the easiest way to get to Boracay would be to fly from Manila to Caticlan. And for a round trip, that was about $40, which surprised me because I don't think I could even get on a flight from Syracuse to Rochester for that cheap in upstate New York. Okay, so now that I landed in Caticlan Airport, I need to get from the airport to the port. I could walk, it was a bit of a distance, so I went ahead and took a trike. From the airport to the port was about 50 pesos or $1 US. Times that by 2, of course, because I'll be coming back as well, so $2 for that. Okay, we're getting closer now. Now we're at the port. So now you have to take a ferry from Caticlan Port to actually Boracay Island. So this was $4, which includes the terminal fee and the environmental fee, but we'll also times that by 2 for the round trip. Okay, so now we're actually on the island of Boracay. So it's time to take a trike from the port to the hotel. When we got there, there were plenty of trikes around. So go ahead and do the Filipino thing and haggle a little bit. Of course, they're trying to make a living too for their family, so don't cheap out too much on them. I believe at the time it cost me about 100 pesos, but I tipped an extra 50 pesos round trip since the guy was really cool. 150 pesos is about $3, so times that by 2 for the round trip, and that gives us $6. Now, for the second most expensive part, of course, is the hotel. Now, in Boracay, you can stay anywhere from a cheap hostel to a 5-star, treetop, all-inclusive spa resort. For me, I stayed at Julius's Boracay Italian Resort. Now, this was only a little bit more compared to some of the hostels, but you do get a private bathroom, which is important to me. Of course, it's no 5-star hotel, but it's simple and nice. At the time, it cost me $40 US per night, and for a 5-night stay would have been $200. Okay, on to the next part, food. Luckily, our hotel included a free breakfast. At the time, you could choose from a Filipino breakfast or an American breakfast. Usually I went with a Filipino breakfast, longanisa, tocino, comes with rice and some fruit, pineapple juice. It was really good. So when you're looking at the hotels, make sure to take some of that into consideration. If you divide that over the period of the 5 days for breakfast, that may actually add up to where it was actually worth going from a hostel to a hotel. For lunch, I also stayed pretty simple and light, just something quick and easy. Generally ranged about $4 a day. And the reason I went a little bit lighter on the lunch side was so that I could have a nicer dinner. So my dinners estimated were about $8 to $10 a night. One of those days was the day I got engaged, so I chose the other 4 days as an average for 5 days on a normal basis. I did go a little more expensive on the night that we got engaged. Of course, we had to celebrate, right? And I'll lean toward the higher side of that estimate, just in case you wanted some turon or halo-halo for dessert, or we're on an island, so you gotta have an adult beverage that you sip out of a coconut, of course, right? So we'll say about $50 for the entire week for dinner. Okay, so we got our basics covered. Flight, hotel, food. But of course, you're going to want to do a few activities. I didn't go out all 5 days since I did want to spend a few days on the beach, just kind of walk around and enjoy the scenery. One of the days, I went with an island hopping package, which included 3 spots to go snorkeling, a couple islands to stop at, which actually did include a lunch on one of them as well. There were some really cool views and a commentator that was really good and spoke very good English to help me understand what was going on around us. This was about $20, but since lunch was included, I'll take off one of those $4 average days for the lunch to give us a grand total of $16 for that day. One of the other days, I went helmet diving for the first time. This was an amazing experience. To go down, you got to see coral really up close. Snorkeling was fun, but helmet diving really got you down in the sand and got you really up close to some of those really cool looking fish and corals. I'd highly recommend it to anybody, and that was about $20 for that. The day after we got engaged, we did go and kind of celebrate a little bit, so we went to a spa, and it was about $5, surprisingly, for an entire hour full body massage, which I couldn't believe, especially knowing the prices around here. Now, my fiance loved it. It was my first time getting a full body massage, which felt a little strange at first. It was nice, but it was weird the first time you ever get one done. I can't remember how much I spent on pasalubong or little trinkets that you bring home for your family and friends, but our grand total right now is $1,217, so I'll round that up to, let's say, $1,225. And that's the grand total. $1,225 for a 5-day stay in an amazing island with the best white sand beaches you'll probably ever find on Earth. We had a ton of fun, we got to relax, we had some great food, some great drinks, everything you would ever expect from an island. Now, if you go with a group, it's definitely a little easier to split some of those costs. And of course, if you shop around, you'll be able to find some cheaper flights, cheaper hotels, maybe even some cheaper restaurants as well. So realistically, I think you can estimate anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 for this. And that's a middle-of-the-road kind of average. You can go much cheaper and you can go much more expensive. So if you take $1,200 right in the middle, divide that by 365 days in a year, that ends up being $3.29 a day. That's what you need to put away each and every day out of your pocket to save up for an entire year. I've done Philippine trips for much less, but for a really nice beach experience, I've seen much more expensive when you go to Virginia Beach, let's say. So I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please click the like and subscribe button below. And if you want to see more, check out my Instagram and my Facebook account. I post a lot of photos or like little mini clips that are a lot shorter than these YouTube videos. And thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.